A big hello and welcome here tonight as the Elmira Pioneers get set to take on the Newark Pilots. Once again, I'm John Clement alongside George Stockberger. George, welcome back to the booth. This time, some company for you.
Yeah, it's a little lonely up last Wednesday without you here. Feel tough with the first shutout loss of the season, losing 9-0 to these Pilots. But good to be back here for what is a beautiful day for Pioneers baseball.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's certainly gorgeous. The Pioneers now leaving the dugout and will be throwing out Frisbees, folks. So we'll get you a little shot of that down here over to the right-hand side on the first baseline. And look at that, those beautiful pink Frisbees being tossed out by your Elmira Pioneers. I want to thank everybody once again for tuning in live on YouTube.com. We'll be breaking down the matchup here for you as we are experiencing a little delay. It's not always easy to find historic Dunn Field with the bridge out, and the umpires, George, had some trouble today.
And he did have a little bit of trouble as the players are also happy to put those Frisbees. A little bit lighter Frisbees. But yeah, a little bit of a delay, but not too bad. Again, it's nice when this is at least in the earlier games, but you're not out here way too late. For sure, the sun's out, not too many clouds out there, good breeze blowing out to straightaway center, so maybe we'll see
complete game for the first time without a delay.
A good little complete game, no delay, maybe some long balls with that wind blowing out.
That'd be nice. I'll tell you what, we saw our first of the season 2 nights ago. Mason Ruhlman, he may not be in the lineup tonight, however, Ruhlman hitting the first dinger of the season, and it was a beauty, long way out there to right field in Watertown. And I'll tell you what, Elmira has found a way to really own that plaza up there.
That's at least something. Again, it's been a tough start to the season for the Pioneers. They had, a 6 or 7 game losing streak at one point. And again, Ruhlman showed a little bit of power. The last Wednesday night, it was a little hard to see at the camera angle, but he hit a ball that went off the top of that first transit sign. That's marked at 325 out there to the corner. He hit it about 324 and about 10 inches. Now, if he hit it just a little bit higher, that would have been his first home run of the season, but I think he was able to make up for it a little bit later on.
Well, he certainly did out there in Watertown, New York. Hit it right about the same area as he put one over the fence in Watertown. I'll give you, it's about 10 feet or so shorter than the fence here at historic Dunn Field. Certainly is a long ways to go if you're going to hit something out of Dunn Field. You got to hit it high, you got to hit it hard, and you got to hit it fair. That's one of the bigger things that we've seen thus far this season. We're going to get a first pitch of the game here as well. We haven't had too many of those this season as we continue to wait on the umpires. So we're going to break down the lineups for you folks as that, of course, always a veritable part of the game that you want to get quick into. Ben Terwilliger going to be on the mound tonight, and I'll tell you what, Terwilliger, 6'3", 225-pound sophomore infielder and pitcher from Maine by way of Elmira. He was a Corning Painted Post high school kid. He certainly could bat, but we've seen so far in this season, George, the pitching for Terwilliger has been just as impressive.
It has. He came in a little bit of a strange relief appearance last Wednesday, the last time these Pioneers were here at home. So again, Terwilliger doing a little bit of everything for the Pioneers.
Well, it seems like we say weird relief appearance quite a lot here early on as the season continues to tick away. But Terwilliger, the numbers speak for itself. 0.53 ERA, 4 games, 2 starts, 1 save, 17 innings pitched, 7 hits, 1 run. That 1 run was earned, 9 bases on balls, and George, 26 strikeouts. I mean, that's just, the numbers speak for themselves.
Absolutely. Again, we talked about there have been some very impressive starting pitching appearances for these Pioneers. Again, it's been the bullpen that's kind of given up those games late and not enough offense. We saw, again, the Sour Keys couple games where they have those late game blowouts. And then, speaking of blowout, that game on Wednesday where they lose 9-0, their first shutout loss of the season. Again, it's been a little bit of everything with the exception of the starting pitching here for Elmira.
Well, you talk about, the blowouts, and of course that always plays a factor. But then you look at the different situations where you've got, the Pioneers coming in, they've really controlled games, and then they turn it over to the bullpen, as we talked about. It's something where you know that is the struggle is real, it's going to happen, but you got to find a way to work around that, and I think that's where the Pioneers have been lacking. And I think you'll hear that very, very shortly when we headed over to Coach's Corner. Before we do that, though, I want to talk about the starting pitching for Newark. Chris LeVere, 6.00 ERA, no decisions, 2 games he's been in, both times as a relief pitcher. 3 innings pitched so far in this season, 3 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned, 2 bases on balls, and only 5 strikeouts. Georgia, that's not the line you would want to hear, but I'll tell you what, Newark has seemed to have Elmira's number so far this season.
Yeah, it's not what you want to hear if you're Newark. If you're Elmira, you're chomping at the bit to go see this guy. You got him. He's sitting a little bit, almost an hour more than he would like to, of course. So we're going to play things a little bit for Pios. We get a little bit of offense going.
Yep, well, it's certainly going to be an interesting prospect from Maryland Eastern Shore. He's come out here. He's obviously been a relief pitcher, but you wonder when you bring in a guy who's generally a relief pitcher, you wonder how that translates to starting pitching. We've seen the Pioneers do a lot of the opposite, but when you think about relief to starter, that's certainly a bigger jump when you have to eat up so many innings.
It is, and he's a guy who in college you usually talk about the guys who start in the weekdays and then your weekend, your Friday, Saturday night guys. In college, for Friday, Saturday night guys are usually your number 1, number 2. He was the midday starter for Maryland Eastern State. Again, not even their number 1. So again, it's not you're not throwing out Clayton Kershaw here. So hopefully it should be a good game for the Pios. He led all freshmen with 21 strikeouts, with the 5th most on the team. Also kind of made some relief appearances in college, so he is used to kind of jumping back and forth in between those roles.
Well, we'll have to see how that comes into play. However, that being said, Pioneers with a lineup that looks considerably different here tonight. Jeff Mejia to lead things off. Andrew Sexton moving in at second. They're both playing in the outfield. Garrett Schultz rounds out the outfield. So the entire outfield is batting in the top 3. That's a little bit weird for the Pioneers so far this season. Moore bats 4th. Berg 5th. Pang, we'll get a first look at Nathan Pang as a batter, batting 6th. Trevor Henneman at first base. Bryce Moskowitz playing catcher. Zach Turner, brand new signing, literally finished signing paperwork not too long ago here, just a couple short hours ago. He will make his first appearance as a member of the Elmira Pioneers, and he will bat 9th. And that will bring up Ben Terwilliger pitching and starting the game. We've talked about it. Terwilliger going to be a force to be reckoned with if he continues to pitch the way he has so far this season.
Again, you like to see, we've seen a couple of these guys go solid 4 or 5 innings. If you can get that, maybe if he can stretch it out to 6 after having that relief appearance earlier this week, that'd be fantastic. Because again, we talked about how much the bullpen has struggled and how they had to throw Terwilliger again out there in the bullpen because they were just struggling so much on Wednesday. And hopefully stretch out, warm up, and can go those 6.
Well, the one thing about that, we had Keegan Ernest come out of the bullpen last night. He had a tough inning, and it's a different mindset for a starter versus a reliever. But the one thing about that, though, is you see those pitchers come in, and they had 3 days off last week. That throws off your order. I'm sorry, Noah Rubino had to shake off some rust in the first inning last night. He hadn't pitched in almost 9 days. I mean, you think about how much time truly passes, and that, I'm sorry, I don't care who you are, that plays a factor when you're used to playing every 5th or 6th day. It definitely provides a certain feeling coming out of the bullpen that's different. It certainly provides a much different feeling for your starter, and you have that much time off. Yes, resting the arm can be good, but once you get in a routine, the routine's broken at that point, George.
Yeah, you like to you have that, 4 or 5 days you go and you have that big start when you work 1 or 2 bullpens in between just to kind of keep the arm fresh. When you have either just a scheduled day off or a rain out or something like that really throws you off, again, it's tough to kind of bounce back from, especially if you bounce between the bullpen and the rotation, as the Pioneers have forced a couple guys to do.
And with that being said, we are here in the Miller's Mowing pregame show. So a reminder, if your lawn isn't game day ready, call Miller's Mowing 607-302-8226. With that, we're going to head down to Coach's Corner and give you a unique perspective this time from head coach Matt Birch. You're listening to Pioneers Baseball on Mixler.com.
How you bet.
All right, well, there you heard it right from Coach Birch. It was an interesting game, to say the least, yesterday, and it didn't go the Pioneers' way. Obviously, would like to correct that here tonight and find a way into the win column, Jordan.
Yeah, again, we talked about the tough stretch that this team has been on after, again, they won their first 2 games of the season here at home. It looked like a pretty strong start to the year. We talked about the starting pitching that's been excellent for Welliger. What we are going to see here today, we are going to have some baseball today. We're talking about the guys like Rubino that have gone out there and had some excellent starts. So, again, the pitching has held up well for the most part for the Pioneers when you're talking about the starters. It's the bullpen that hasn't held up. And then couple misplays. We had a couple misplays last Wednesday where Buffington dropped what you would call a can of corn. He just spilled that can of corn all over the kitchen. He just dropped an easy fly ball. Playing on right field, Ranger had it was a beautiful diving catch on right field on Wednesday night, but then he dropped a ball ranging, running over. So, again, some misplays on the defense, some bullpen issues, but overall, they haven't played horrible. No, for the most part, and that's been a good thing.
Well, we talked about it too. The games that they've lost, say a couple, 15-2 blowout. Last night they lost 11-4. But for the most part, that game last night was close the whole way through. The 8th inning, well, really the 7th and 8th inning, when coming into the game and giving up 5 runs with the bullpen there, that obviously put a real hurt on. But I'll tell you, the game was close. The Pioneers were trailing by 1 going into the 5th inning. You couldn't have asked for much more than that. As then, bottom of the 5th, they gave up 3, came back in the 6th, scored 3 there. Bottom of the 7th, they scored 1. Came back in the top and scored 1. But that was about it. There was just nothing they could manufacture to get it done. There was nothing for the Pioneers in the 8th or 9th. They saw some solid pitching out of Geneva, and Geneva managed to come away with a victory that was a lot more lopsided on the scoreboard than it really was as the game was played.
Yeah, and the other thing that when you look at the game the other night, your 6 through 9 guys, it's 0 for 15.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, again, the top of the lineup did great. I mean, Sexton and Mejia had 2 hits each. Ruhlman and Schultz obviously had some hits, but again, the bottom of the line with Harmon, Redding, Richardson, and Berg, 0 for 15, that right there, that kills you.
Of course. And, I mean, you look at a guy like, Trey Harmon, he clearly hasn't found his bat yet this season. He's going to find his bat. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Harmon has, been brought up down there in Kentucky. Yes, they use an aluminum bat. He's finding his way. He plays defensively very, very well. And now it's going to be about finding a way to continue that and start putting up some offensive numbers. And there's no doubt in my mind, watching him swing the bat during batting practice, watching him work out here in the field, he's going to do it. But then as you move down the lineup, Cam Redding is in a deep slump. He's somebody that is really putting a problem in for himself as he continues to swing at pitches that aren't there. He's getting frustrated. He's talking to himself as he walks back out. And as a catcher, that's somebody who complete focus is knowing on the pitches and when they're going to be thrown and how they're going to be thrown. So you worry a little bit about that, especially as he's controlling most of the game on both sides of the ball at that point.
Yeah, we've talked about the catchers this year. For the most part, we've done a fairly good job all the way around. We've seen some good games called, some good pitch framing. We've seen some decent defense, a couple throwouts from behind the plate. Again, between Richardson and Moskowitz, there hasn't been all that much with the bat. And that's what you need from your catcher. You can't have a Brian McCann or JT Realito on every single team. You're going to have those guys like the Yangos and the Kurt Suzuki's who are going to get a little bit lower in the lineup, but are going to play average or above average.
I mean, you talk about, guys who hit lower, and in my mind, of course, goes to Brad Osmus. Osmus was never a prolific batter, but he could call a game like no other. And when you look at that, that's what you're looking for out of a catcher, and that's why you see them in that lower part of the lineup. However, that being said, especially on a team like the Pioneers this year, there has to be consistency throughout the lineup just because they're not getting the production from anywhere. I mean, you said it last night, George, 1 through 5, the hitting was there, a couple hits here, a couple hits there, but when it dies at the bottom of the order, you can't really do anything with that.
No, I mean, again, and those are some guys that you expected something from. Again, those are guys, especially when you think about the 6-7 hitters. When I think of the 6-7 hitters, I think of guys who got hit, a ton of doubles. At least in my mind. At least as a 6 hitter, the number 7 guy is going to get a couple clean singles and drive in the rest of the guys who are sitting on base. So you expect at least some on base ability from some of those guys. But again, to go over 15 is that's a tough thing.
I mean, you talk about over 15, you look at the stat line there that it wasn't just that there were outs; it was that they were non-productive outs. I'm fine if you're moving a guy along if things are going that way, but when outs are just made just as outs, that's when you really start to feel the effect of such a lackluster play because you're not even moving runners around, you're not getting anything done, and when your entire bottom half of your lineup is doing it, that really comes back to hurt. As we continue to wait for umpires, we want to thank everybody for tuning in here. It's a gorgeous Sunday afternoon. Couldn't have asked for any better weather. As you look around historic Dunn Field is ready to play baseball. The Elmira Pioneers are ready. The Newark Pilots are ready. The one thing we lack, the men in blue.
Yeah. Kind of an important part to the game, John.
Slightly. We may find them to be necessary. We've done a kids run. We've had some fun with Taekwondo. We are celebrating Stitch's birthday here tonight as well, turning 131.
There you go.
Pretty.
Doesn't look a day over 100.
No. You know, those baseballs hold up pretty well, I'll tell you what. As once again, everybody's getting stretched out, and nobody's stretching out anymore on the Pioneer side of the field. They're ready to go. And just again, some miscommunication, and unfortunately, a lot of fans were calling in today saying, what time is the game? And we were resoundingly at 4:05. We've been scheduled for 4:05 for a few months now, and unfortunately somebody was not alerted, and here's the situation. So got to get that miscommunication cleared up, and of course next week, George, we'll have a doubleheader here at home on a Sunday.
There you go.
So 1 o'clock start, then a 4 o'clock start, and the Pioneers will play 7 innings twice that day, and we'll have to see. Hopefully they'll be in the midst of a long winning streak, because after today's game, day off and then 4 long days on the road, and they aren't short bus trips either, George.
No, I mean, again, after this game, we talked about going to Newark, going to Oneonta, going to Watertown, and going to Geneva.
You're talking about 3 hours to Watertown. You're talking about at least close to 2 hours up to Oneonta. Newark and Geneva, we're somewhat familiar with, having done them quite a bit. But those are some long road trips for the Pioneers, and they're going to have a long session there that they're going to have to try to break through because, in all honesty, they're running out of matchups with Newark and Geneva, who are teams ahead of them in the standings.
I mean, again, we've seen this Newark team so many times. Again, thinking about last Wednesday, and then even once they come back from that road trip, they got 4 games at home. Who do we face against Newark that first game at homestand? Or we face Newark against, If it's Newark, to kick off that homestand, and then again, 2 games against Geneva. We talked about the not really a day-night doubleheader, a day-afternoon doubleheader, I guess we'll call it, when Oneonta comes in. So a lot of baseball still been played. I'm going to move up the standings.
Certainly, and that's the nice thing, and we talked about this in Coach's Corner. One of the things is if you're losing as the Pioneers are doing here early and you're moving yourself out of it, that's one thing, but they're not. They're less than 6 games back of the first place team, so no team has really jumped on and taken a commanding lead. The Pioneers are very much in it. As George is pulling up the standings.
I'm trying to find the standings. There's a schedule. There's no standings where it said the standings.
Well, you go up and click schedule there on the PGCBL website, folks. You can click right down and click on standings and see the Geneva Red Wings are leading on a 2-game winning streak now.
Only 6.5 games back for the Pioneers.
Exactly. It is not a difficult gap to close. However, that being said, when you look at those, a lot of those teams have had 4, 5, 6 rainouts, and they're going to have to make them up quite a bit in a very short amount of time. So we'll be seeing a lot of double headers while the Pioneers are playing solos.
Still not a lot of umpires.
Still not a lot of umpires.
I heard some cheering. I was hoping that was it. Now we got something going on with the Pilots.
The Newark Pilots trying to keep themselves stretched out. As
I think they're doing a relay race, some kind of race.
Perhaps, as once again we look down towards the umpire tunnel. Nobody has made their way out quite yet. Stitches is bouncing around down there. George is going to help us out here.
And a little relay race or a little bit of a race going on here.
As there's the Pilots finding ways to amuse themselves during the delay. Of course, we do thank them for heading on down, as it's always a fun time. Pilots, again, working on amusing themselves here tonight as the Pioneers await the umpiring crew. We're supposed to be here for a 5 start. We want to thank you all for joining in. and waiting along with us. Hope you all enjoyed Coach's Corner. This has been a tough matchup for the Pioneers, really. I mean, when you think about it, the losing streaks have started and ended with Newark. It's not been an easy opponent for Elmira this season, George.
No, and again, when you look at some of those games against Newark, again, we talked about that 9-0 loss. And before that, 13-8 loss. They took that 5-2 game back on June 8th, but other than that, it's been that 6-2 loss, the first loss of the season. So again, it hasn't been an easy going against these pilots.
It certainly has not, and I'll tell you, the one kid that I see quite a lot out of when we play Newark is over Torres. Torres, that's number 3 in the order, and just very smooth out there. He's able to work the ball and do the right things at the plate, and then he reads the ball well in the outfield. I'm not going to say that the outfield is one of the harder positions there, as you really have a lot more time than those fast-gloved infielders have to be, but I'll tell you what, very smooth movement. It's impressive to watch.
Yeah, it is, and he had a big game on Wednesday night as well. A couple RBI. Had a walk around the score also. Or two, that was Murphy. But again, Murphy's had a hit in the 4th inning back on Wednesday, and then going back to Torres again. He had 2 RBIs, a couple strikeouts as well, but again, he got on base a couple of times.
So you talked about Murphy too, and then those are the 2 at the top of the Pilots' batting stats. 469 for Torres, 405 for Alan Murphy. And, Murphy, he does double duty. He pitches, he plays the field. It's not an easy role, I'll tell you what. As once again, everybody trying to keep stretched out. The Pioneers have now exited their dugout and are throwing a football around. So
look at that.
Give you a quick look over here to our first base dugout side. And again, we continue to look down towards that umpire tunnel. Nobody has made their way out quite yet. Scheduling errors, things do happen. It is a Sunday afternoon. No place better to be than here at the ballpark. Getting that delicious smell of popcorn and hot dogs.
Popcorn, hot dogs, wine slushies.
Oh, those new wine slushies.
Yeah, they got
delicious.
They got a pineapple one now.
Yeah, I'm a pineapple fan.
Yeah.
But we want to thank everybody once again for tuning in here on the Miller's Mowing pregame show. If your field isn't game day ready, give Miller's Mowing a call, 607-302-8226. And, George, I just finally got my lawn taken care of and finally looking pretty good.
There you go. And field is game day ready even though there's no umpires.
There it is. So, once again, we'd like to thank all those amazing folks over at Miller's Mowing for keeping us in the know with the Miller's Mowing pregame show. Look around, we've got some brand new signage out in the outfield too.
We do. We got a new sign
out to center field as well. I believe there's one more out there.
Yeah.
Can't get a great look at that with some kids.
The
Dunfield Classic champions. All right.
Yeah.
That's something to celebrate for sure.
It is. I like the Duncan sign that pops out there in center field.
It does. Duncan and the Elmira Pioneers, that is
there we go.
Pretty great sign. I think we can zoom in a little bit. I'm not sure how close we can get, but
pretty close.
As that is sharp.
That is sharp.
Like that.
We got our there we go, our 10U Dunfield Classic champs.
And that was a fun weekend too. If you guys haven't had the chance to get out to the Dunfield Classic, always a fun time here at Dunfield. So I want to thank everybody who came out for the Dunfield Classic and see if your kids can get involved next season. It is a blast as you get a good look at the scoreboard and the Hit It Here sign. You see those in the Major League parks quite a bit, but not so much in the minor league parks anymore. Getting away from that as Texas Roadhouse proud sponsors the Hit It Here. I believe that's earns everybody a free appetizer if somebody can hit that sign. I don't think we've seen too much of it.
We also have a place kicker competition going on here.
Oh, a little bit
Trying to get that.
A little bit of place kicking. There's some multi-sport athletes, as we've mentioned quite a few times.
Yeah.
For the Elmira Pioneers this season. And once again, we thank everybody tuning in here on the Miller's Mowing pregame show.
Still no umpires.
And we know they'll be along here shortly as we are just past the 5 o'clock hour. Pioneers continuing to work out their own way, including their clubhouse manager down there as well. Now holding the ball, Nathan Bird. And, lining up for the kick. Mason Roman with the kick, and, well, he's not happy with that one, George.
He is not. Voicing his displeasure very loudly.
Very, very loudly. And I don't think he's happy with as far as that one went.
Well, that was a little Cody Parkey kick there.
A little bit. As now some Newark players heading over to the Elmira dugout. I think they're trying to figure out what was going on.
They all are.
Everybody's still getting stretched out. It's been a fun day at the park. Oh, and now the clubhouse manager going to try to kick the ball. We'll see if he can. A little bit straighter there. That was, as now Mason Roman, he's going to go back to work and hopefully try to find his way to a much better kick than his last attempt. Now we once again wait for the umpire. Stitches was just bowling around out there. See, all right, Roman taking a step back. Very deliberate. Now he comes back set. He's looking for some support from his teammates. Now he's going to set it up. Kicks his step the wrong way there, Mason, as he now kicks it. And again, that one shanked a little bit there to the left. Not sure that's where he wanted that one to go.
I don't think so.
Not through the uprights. Maybe the laces weren't out. Gotta hold the laces out, Dan. I mean... All
That's
right,
a nice catch there.
It was a nice catch. And now, apparently, Crispy Bacon and Stitch is going to make their way out here. We'll see what the... here comes the birthday boy. And you try to... There's Stitches. And we're going to lose him down below us here. Once again, lost Stitches. There we go. There we go. Now we got him making his way around and heading towards the home plate area. Happy birthday to Stitches as he celebrates his birthday here at historic Dunn Field today. As the Pioneers, I believe, are about to be introduced. I'm guessing that would mean the men in blue are here.
I hope so.
Let's see. Here comes the introduction of the starting lineup. So, yeah, we must be getting ready to get going here, folks. Happy to say the Pioneers will be heading out to the field, I believe. As we're introducing the lineup we've already kind of presented. Mejia, Sexton, Garrett Schultz. As I said, that's kind of rare. You rarely see the top three in the batting order also be the starting outfielders. I can't recall the last time I've seen that.
Usually you see a shortstop at the top of the order, maybe that first baseman in the 3-hole.
So Preston Moore will bat in cleanup spot. Berg at number 5. Nathan Peng at 6, his first at bat as a Pioneer, as he will designated hit tonight. So the Pioneers clearly looking for answers. Trevor Henneman will play first, so out of that catching stance. Then Bryce Moskowitz. And rounding it out, Zach Turner playing second base.
A new face. So we get to see Pang and Turner for the first time.
And Turner is a local kid who goes to Corning Community College, so a little bit of local flavor here for the Elmira Pioneers.
Between him and Terwilliger.
Certainly a lineup here filled with Corning. Getting the chance to play here at historic Dunn Field, a place where many of the Pioneers grew up and got a chance to watch baseball throughout their childhood. As the starting lineup has been introduced, nobody has moved towards the field, however, so perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps we were just buying some more time. And now the pitcher is out there in the bullpen getting some reps.
Stay stretched out. The Pilots already got some batting helmets and they're in the on-deck circle getting some early swings.
So everybody's ready. We just wait on those men in blue. And we'll see how quick the game can take off once they get started. Of course, we've already done the national anthem, so it shouldn't take a whole heck of a lot of time for things to get underway. once the umpires make their appearance known.
We're ready to go. We are more than ready to go here.
As we've been just about ready for a little over an hour at this point. Game should have started about 1 hour and 5 minutes ago. So hopefully we'll be getting started any moment. And George, I'll tell you what, we've had a rough go of it to start things off, but perhaps that's character building. Perhaps that's what the Pioneers needed to find out who they are as a team. It's a very young team. We've talked about, a lot of these teams that come in here have juniors, seniors, and I think that one's good.
Yeah.
So a big kick there as Preston Moore.
So, yeah, if only we had a call that good.
Well, I'm calling it good.
Okay.
Preston Moore put it through the uprights, and those are some skinny uprights too.
They are. I don't think those are regulation size.
I don't believe they are.
But you talk about the character building. I mean, you think about what the enforcers early in their season didn't get off to a great start, and they ended up being in the championship. So again, these guys are coming from all over the world. We're talking about some of these guys who are local and who are from Elmira and Corning and Painted Post, and even some guys who have played at least in the Binghamton area who are at least somewhat familiar with the Twin Tiers. We're talking about guys who are coming from California, from Alabama to Kentucky. They probably have never heard of Elmira, New York, or the Twin Tiers. So they're coming here for the first time. They're playing with guys that they've never played with, trying to play with catchers and with infielders, trying to get a rhythm together. So again, it is a little bit different, but as we saw with the enforcers, it's a long season. We can kind of get familiar with each other, and we can get back on track fairly easy.
Well, the coaching staff has talked about it time after time about the difference that it makes to have all these kids come together and have to really team build.
Yeah.
And you see that as the season continues to roll on. But that being said, we talked with one of our members here in the Feral Gas Friday interview, as one of our catchers decided it was all right to sit down and take a quick chat with us over on YouTube.com. We want to remind you that happens every Friday on YouTube.com. Kyle Richardson made his way out, and he was the one who came up. He was talking to me and said, my coach told me I was going to Elmira for the summer, and I said, okay. So no questions asked. That's the difference here with the collegiate athletes. They kind of just go where they're told and try their best to have a positive effect.
We got some sunbathing out here.
So the Newark pilots getting tanned and stretched out. As again, we continue to wait for the men in blue. So
we're going to be some orange and darker players sitting out in the sun all day.
Getting the chance to really absorb that vitamin C. As here we are, 5:12 is the time at current, and we continue to look for the umpire door to swing open, and thus far we haven't had a bunch of success. So we'll have to see. We're going to step aside here one more time on the Miller's Mowing pregame show. If your field isn't game day ready, call Miller's Mowing 607-302-8226. Let's see what the hell's going on. You know anything? Second umpire just got here. Oh, jeez. Chip, 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 chip.
I am. Chip. Chip. Come here, buddy.
All right, we have an update that the second official has arrived, and the game will be getting started shortly. At the moment, well, to be perfectly honest, we almost have to see it to believe it, but the owner's pet squirrel has climbed up into the netting, so we will see. As I said, the umpires have arrived, and we should be underway shortly. We want to say thank you to everybody for hanging with us live on YouTube.com. As again, the Pioneers hope to be underway very, very shortly. As I said, the umpires have arrived, and now we're just waiting for them to be ready to go. As, once again, having just a wee bit of an issue here. So I pulled out the cord. So let's see if we're getting any better sound now, folks. George,
I think we're good. A little bit of everything's happened today.
I think we pulled out the cord, so we may have to reset our broadcast. So folks, stay with us. We'll be right back here on YouTube.com.